At school, they say I'm wired bad, or wired mad, or wired sad, or wired glad, but depending on my mood and what teacher has ended up with me. But there's no doubt about it, I'm wired. Joey Pigza Swallowed the Key is a book by Jack Gantos about a student with ADHD. Children with ADHD are often called wired. They are said to be over-alert and hyperactive. ADHD, after all, stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Let me see if Philip can be a little gentleman. Let me see if he is able to sit still for once at table. Thus spoke in earnest tone the father to his son, and the mother looked very grave to see Philip so misbehave. But Philip he did not mind, his father who was so kind. He wriggled, he giggled, and then I declare swung backward and forward and tilted his chair, just like any rocking horse. Philip, I am getting cross. The Story of Fidgety Philip by Henrik Hoffman is another story about a child with ADHD. This story was first published in 1840. Most of the research about ADHD did not emerge until the 1900s. The behaviors talked about in the Story of Fidgety Philip are also common characteristics of someone with ADHD. They seem to not be able to sit still. They fidget and wiggle and giggle in their seat. They may also blurt out answers quickly in the classroom and just show a sort of illogical train of thought. Hi, I'm Mrs. Hendrick, and I'm a teacher here at Valley Elementary School. I have a general education classroom of 25 students. Although one of my students was recently diagnosed with ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. ADHD is defined under IDEA 04 under the Other Health Impairments category. What this means is that it's grouped together with other health impairments like leukemia and cystic fibrosis. Because ADHD is under the Other Health Impairments category, it is unknown what the true prevalence of it is in the school system, although it's estimated that 3 to 7% of students have ADHD. Even though a student may be diagnosed with ADHD, they may not be eligible for special education services. In order to be eligible for special education services, the ADHD must adversely affect their academic performance. However, many students who have ADHD also have another special education eligibility category, such as learning disabilities or emotional or behavior. The student in my classroom has strict ADHD. They are not eligible under special education services, but they are eligible under the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504. Because my student is eligible for accommodations under the Rehabilitation Act, Section 504, I need to make certain accommodations in my general education classroom for my student. These include the environment that I set my classroom up in and helping them with academic accommodations like longer testing time and helping them with self-management skills. This is the layout of my elementary school classroom. Here's the entrance into my classroom, and the teacher's desk is located over here. There are several windows along this wall. My student with ADHD will be sat here at one of the front rectangular desks between the corners of the blackboard. This will allow for minimal distractions. It's important that the traffic flow in my classroom is well done and that my student with ADHD is free from distractions from the window, the pencil sharpener, and the door. Therefore, they will be seated right here in the front and close to the teacher's desk. Many schools have resource rooms that students with ADHD can be pulled out and placed in for some of their academic learning. I, however, am lucky enough to have a resource center in my classroom in the back portion with computers, a blackboard, and a seated area. I can use this area to have pull-ins for my student with ADHD and help keep them engaged at the computers back here or the computer up by my desk. It is important that I decorate my classroom appropriately for my student with ADHD. Having bright colors and things is very nice and interesting, but can be extremely distracting to a student with ADHD. Decorations like this would be much more appropriate for my classroom. They set a positive example for all my students of what they can become. Even students with ADHD can be very successful in life. I should give them positive role models like Michael Phelps, who has ADHD but was able to focus on his swimming career and make it to the Olympics.